Hey, Allison Verhalen here with AV Right. Hey, Allison Verhalen here. Sorry if I repeated myself. I think I'm live. It's always a little tricky to tell with this stuff. So here I am, Allison Verhalen with AV Writing Services. And today I want to talk to you about your SEO plan for 2022. If you don't have a plan yet, that's okay, but you do need to get on it because we only have, like a week and a half left in the year. So it is time to start thinking about how you're going to proactively approach your SEO strategy so that you can be ahead of the game instead of reacting when Google makes its updates again. Obviously, there's no reading Google's mind or knowing what it's doing, much less what it's going to do in the future. But we can look at some of the stuff they've done in the past and some of the changes they made over the past year in particular and take some educated guesses as to what the next year has in store for us. So I have just a few tips for you to help you get your SEO plan. I'm not going to create your SEO plan for you, but I'll give you some tips that you can use to create your SEO plan. So first and foremost is do an SEO audit. This is where you could do it manually. I don't recommend it because that takes a long time. It's very labor intensive, especially if you have a lot of content on your website. You're much better off using a tool like Screaming Frog is one of the most popular ones for doing an SEO audit. There are a bunch of SEO tools out there that will do an SEO audit for you. It just crawls your website, crawls all your content. It lets you know if there are any broken links on your website, any errors, if you have a page that you published and maybe the link went bad and now you're getting this 404 error. That is a really bad user experience and all that stuff is going to hurt your SEO. So that's stuff you need to fix, but it can be really hard to find that stuff unless you have a tool like Screaming Frog, like I think SERPstat has an SEO audit option as well. So use the software to your advantage. It's going to take a while, again, especially if you have a lot of content on your website. But get that data so that you can adjust and make an even better website, because you can't make a plan to go forward until you know the issues that are already on your site that you need to fix. So first and foremost, do an SEO audit. Take a deep dive into your analytics is next up. So hopefully you have Google Analytics or something like it that tells you how much traffic is coming to your website, where that traffic is coming from, the pages that are getting the most visits, all that good stuff, the keywords that you're ranking for, all that good stuff. So get that data and figure out what's really working well, what kinds of content people are engaging with, what kinds of content is not performing as well, and really dive into that data, because that's going to tell you more and more about your audience, which brings me to my next point, which is take another look at your marketing personas or your buyer personas, depending on the term you use. Hopefully you have a marketing persona. This is one, it should be at least one. Most people have two, one for each gender. You could even have a third that's gender non-binary, depending on your target audience. But at least 1 to 2 buyer personas. These are write-ups with an image that represent who your target audience, who is your ideal customer. If you could personify your ideal customer, what would that look like? What would they look like physically? What would their income look like? What does their family life look like? What kind of job do they have? All that good stuff. You need to know all of that so that you know who you're targeting. If you've been in business for a while, maybe that's changed. Maybe if you're like me, you started out working with a lot of solopreneurs, and as you graduate to the next level, you start working with more and more corporate people, and now you're talking to people more at the C-level of larger corporations. That's a different marketing persona. Now you have different content you need to create, different keywords that you're targeting because they're using different search terms and maybe even different calls to action. So take another look at your buyer personas and consider whether it's really still relevant to your business. If it is, great. But if not, it's time to take another look at that and maybe create a new buyer persona. Even if it's just adjusting one buyer persona and maybe you keep the other one, I do still work with solopreneurs. I have friends who work with solopreneurs and corporate facing types. Totally up to you. This is your business. You get to do what you want, but just make sure that the content that you're creating and the keywords that you're targeting are keywords that your audience is looking for, is using when they're looking for what you provide. So again, that leads right neatly into my next tip, which is to do your keyword research. So always, always, always do your keyword research. This is something that is constantly changing. A keyword that might have been a good keyword a few months ago, maybe the analytics have changed on it. Again, if you were doing this, like, let's say last year, maybe now no one is searching for that particular keyword, or it has no search volume. Or maybe now everyone else jumped on that keyword and now it's everywhere and it's way too competitive and you don't have a chance of ranking for it. Do those keywords to make sure that the keywords you're targeting are still relevant, and see if you can find some new keywords. Maybe some new stuff has popped up that people are searching. I just saw something not too long ago that Google is recognizing. They keep track of what people are searching, obviously, and they find new searches pop up all the times. Keywords that were not keywords, had no history of being searched. Every day there are new keywords being invented, basically, as people search for new things. So keep doing that keyword research so you're staying on top of those new keywords that people in your industry are searching when they're looking for you. So always, always do your keyword research, preferably more than once a year. Maybe at least like once a quarter. But if you haven't done it all year, now's the time to do it. Next up is my favorite. See what your competition is doing. What kinds of content did they create this past year? What keywords did they target? What topics did they cover? Again, I am never, ever, ever condoning copying anyone else, because A, it's rude. B, it's just not good business practice. Your audience is not going to like that, because your target audience will always be slightly different than their target audience. But you can get some ideas from that. If they are if they're covering certain topics, if they're targeting certain keywords, there's probably a reason. So take a look at their content and see if you can kind of reverse engineer some of their content strategy. Next up, plan your content. Create a content calendar. I do this for myself, for my clients. I also have a service where I provide the next 8 blog post topics with the list of keywords. This is what you're going to write for the next 2 months, right? Here you go. This is everything you need. You just have to go ahead and write it. I just get the data together for you. You can make your life going forward so much easier if you do that for yourself now. If you get the topics ready, look at the calendar, look at all the holidays. Again, I do this for the next 2 to 3 months for my clients, but you could do this for the whole year. You could say, in January, we're going to publish something about Valentine's Day. In March, we're going to publish something about St. Patrick's Day, right? You can do that for the whole year and make sure that you're really covering those holidays. And again, make sure that you're covering holidays that are not just like Valentine's Day and St. Patrick's Day, right? Keep in mind that there's National Potato Chip Day and National Coffee Day, National Star Wars Day is in May, right? So keep those things in mind. And again, it all comes back to knowing your target audience. If those kinds of things are something that resonate with them and or something that you can work into your content and make it relevant to your business, go for it and publish that content right before that holiday comes out so that you are ahead of the game. So get your calendar ready, get those topics ready, and again, those keywords ready. Finally, build links into your content. These are internal backlinks. These are external backlinks. External backlinks, those are external links are links that go to another website other than yours, which is great because they get a ping when they see that you're linking to their content, and that can kind of prompt them to go check out your content. I do this all the time when I'm referencing something, especially if I have a statistic that I'm quoting in my content. I want to let people know I do actually have data to back this up. It's right over here. So especially if you're in a B2B industry or a professional services industry, you definitely want to take advantage of that. So external links are great. Internal links are also great, especially if you're trying to drive traffic to a particular service page, or if you've got these topic clusters going and you're trying to drive traffic to your cornerstone content in your topic clusters. that's a great way to do that. So get your link building strategy in place as well. And again, that has to come after you do your SEO audit so that you've cleaned up the backlinks that have gone bad. So that's it. Those are my tips for how to get your SEO plan for 2022 ready to go. If you need help with any of this, again, I provide a lot of services that help with this. I do the SEO audit. I can do your content calendar for you. I can do your keyword research. Whatever you need, I'm here to help. And again, if you just have questions, I'm here for that too. Again, Allison Verhalen here with AV Writing Services. You can reach me directly at info@avwritingservices.com. And my website is avwritingservices.com. And you can check that out and see all of the juicy information I have over there. All right. Otherwise, have a great week and happy blogging, everyone.